You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Ethan Haristodoulou.
Hello everyone and welcome back to more of the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Haristodoulou, and today on this May 26, 2022, we are giving a draft grade to none other than the Cincinnati Bengals, the AFC representative in this year's Super Bowl. So my Bengals fans, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below. Who are you excited to see coming out of this year's draft class? Who do you have some question marks about? Make sure you let me know in the comment section down below. We're going to be grading each and every single player each day in its totality, and then also wrapping up with a full and final grade as well. So let's dive right into the discussion, shall we? Beginning with day number 3. The Bengals had 3 selections. They had one in the 4th round, one in the 5th, and one in the 7th. We'll start from the bottom and work our way up to the top. So with the final pick of the draft in round 7, pick number 252 for the Bengals, I gave him a C+ for this pick. I think it's a very solid selection. Jeffrey Gunter, the edge rusher out of Coastal Carolina, someone who is very athletic. His strengths lie mainly within the pass rush sides of things on the defensive front. He had 9 forced fumbles and 2 blocked kicks altogether. Solid production getting after the quarterback. This is someone who has the potential to turn into a difference maker should he trend into the right direction and get the proper coaching he needs and stick to that coaching as well. But he does have a lot of technical flaws. So this is something that, you know, he has the raw talent, the physical talent, but he's got to work on his techniques and his fundamentals here, especially when it comes to setting and playing the edge as an edge rusher. And he's also not quite as impactful in the run defense as he is in the passing defense. So somewhat of an incomplete player, but someone that has some potential upside that I can see why the Bengals went after him in the 7th round here. Like I said, a solid selection. I gave it a C+. I think the guy could definitely become a decent rotational player at worst. So definitely someone who I see he's probably like, you know, number 51, 52, 53 on the roster, but a guy nonetheless that the Bengals could look to for some rotational snaps. Nothing crazy, but some rotational snaps. C+ for that one. Then in round number 5, pick number 166, we got Tycen Anderson, the safety out of Toledo. And I will say this, I like what the Bengals did in this year's draft, trying to improve the secondary. Tycen Anderson, I gave him a C. I think a very average selection here. He has good size at 6'2", 209 pounds. He also has some really good length as well, 33-inch arms, and he has that 4.36 speed. So he's a very fast athlete. And he also has the good size and length, and he knows how to play with it as well. He's a tough player who can withstand the box. He has the traits to cover tight ends, and he also has a special teams background as well. However, he does have one big issue, and especially when it comes to being a safety, this is probably one of the more critical things to have an issue with, and that has got to be his pursuit angles, leading to more missed tackles than you would like to see from someone doing what he is doing. Again, he's a special teams guy to start with for sure, and if he's going to be anything more than just a rotational safety or a guy who comes in to play backup roles and whatnot, he's going to need to be able to clean up those pursuit angles, and he also struggles a bit deeper in coverage assignments. He's definitely someone where his strengths lie more so closer to the line of scrimmage than anything else. So a solid to average pick, something like that. Like I said, a C, I think it's fair. He is definitely a project and developmental type of guy. If he can hone in his coverage skills playing the deep ball, he would become a much more effective and even better pick at that. But I gave him a C. I think fair enough on that one there. Then at the final selection, or their first selection rather, of day number 3 at round number 4, pick number 136, I gave this one a B-. I think it's a good selection here. We have Cordell Volson, the guard out of North Dakota State. The guy comes in excellent size. He's 6'6", 315, 34-inch arms. He fits the bill of a man of big stature that you would want on the offensive line. But what stands out to me, especially when I was watching him in some of his game tape, is he has a very strong core. He's very balanced, and he has an ability to really just kind of power off offensive linemen that are defensive linemen that are trying to power through him. He has the play strength to be able to stand up to guys. Now, coming from North Dakota State, obviously there is a bit of a concern, of course. Coming from a FCS school, competition level is going to be a much more significant jump for him. That's probably the main concern coming from some scouts. But, I mean, the ability that he's shown to be able to push defenders into the second level and clear open running lanes, especially in that run game, I mean, in the fourth round, this is a good pick. I like what he brings to the table. He's more of a mauler than a technician, and that is something he's definitely going to need to clean up as well. And what I read by that and what people mean by that when I was looking at what scouts were saying is that essentially rather than relying on his techniques and hand use, he tends to just trying to get into like a more physical dominating type of fight with defenders there. So when it comes to, playing offensive line play, yes, it's great that you're strong and powerful, but technique is where you win and lose as a lineman. And while he's someone who could probably play inside for the guard. He does have some experience, I believe, playing at tackle as well, but it sounds like he's projected to be more so of a guard as well. So I gave it a B- because this works out because the Bengals don't necessarily need an offensive tackle right now, per se. Inside interior offensive lineman is more so where the need is. So good pick, B-. I like the selection of Cordell Volson. I think the biggest hurdle for him really is just going to be the competition level. If he can get past that, this is a very good selection there. Then overall for day number 3, my final grade of all 3 selections here, I settled out at a C+. I think it's a good, it's slightly above average, I would say, group of guys here for what they needed on the defensive side of the football and the offensive side of the football. Definitely some good potential upside here, and more or less just can these guys clean up some of their technique issues and become more dominant in better forms of their current selves. Now, going into day number 2, and I will say this, day number 3, I gave a C+. Day number 2 and day number 1, I am a lot more impressed with the draft selections here for this team. And I really like the day 2 picks here. We have in round 3, pick 95, Zachary Carter, the defensive end out of Florida. I gave this one an A-. I think this is an awesome pick for the team. He has all the physical traits and toughness that you want from a defensive end to play inside or even outside if necessary. I mean, he can literally do everything that you need and then some. He should be able to play in odd or even fronts, and it gives the Bengals almost like more of an opportunity to play some more like cuter looks and things like that, stuff beyond just the norm standard nickel that everyone seems to be kind of falling back to here when they're trying to deal with some of these passing offenses these days. He could be a little bit more explosive in his pursuit to the quarterback. I noticed this on tape, and then when I saw scouts talking about it more so, it made a lot of sense to me. There are times where he comes off the snap a little bit late, and he's effective as it is. If he can just get his timing down and really hone in on the cadence of the quarterback and discipline himself to be off the snap immediately like that, it would only further push his potential upside. And again, I like this pick. Awesome selection for the 3rd round. Then in day number 2, the round number 2, pick number 60 selection, I gave this one a B+. I have Cam Taylor-Britt, the cornerback out of Nebraska. Guy's a 3-year starter with experience at both safety and cornerback, so he is a versatile piece to the defensive backfield. No real hesitation to his game. He is a guy that plays more so confidently like a cornerback that you want him to. He believes in himself, and he's not just caught with his feet in the mud kind of trying to process what's going on around him. He's an opportunistic playmaker, and he has the play strength to win those 50-50 balls. I really like this selection here. Like I said, a great pick. I gave it a B+. He has a tendency to get fooled by double moves at time. That's something that the scouts are saying themselves. I didn't really catch a ton of that. I did notice 1 or 2 when I was watching some of his film, but apparently it happens more often than you'd want it to see, according to scouts. And his open field pursuit angles can be a bit inconsistent at time. Again, something from the scouts, things that they just don't like about him that they're picking out here. But like I said, B+. Great selection. Love what he brings to the table. The versatility at safety and cornerback as well. You want versatile guys in the secondary, especially for a team like the Bengals, where passing D was definitely probably the weakness, I would say, of the defensive side of the ball here. Great pick. B+ for day 2 altogether, between the A- for Zachary Carter and the B+ for Cam Taylor-Britt. Because I like the potential upside of Cam Taylor and what he can really bring to the table, I think that they get an A- for day number 2. A great to awesome couple of selections there. And then to wrap up with day number 1, in round 1, pick number 31, Daxton Hill. I'm going to say this. I did not like the pick as much initially, but when I looked into him more and I watched his film and I read about the guy more, I really think that this was an excellent selection for the team. I gave the pick an A, which means for day one, it's their only selection. They do get an A for day one. He has an excellent blend of speed, explosiveness, coverage ability, a hybrid safety with nickel corner potential. He is somebody who brings a lot to this defense and is a guy who should be making an immediate impact on day one to help fortify a hole or two here and there in the secondary. I really, really do like this pick the more I look at it. He does, and here's one of the knocks that really stuck out to me, because it's a knock, but it's also like not necessarily as negative as you'd want to think. At times, he tries to do a little bit too much, and he gets caught up just overplaying, essentially, and he needs to stay more focused on excuse me, his actual assignments in what he should be doing. He's a guy who wants to be a true playmaking defender in the backfield, and I respect the hell out of that. And he just kind of gets caught in the wrong place sometimes because he's trying to do a little bit more than he needs to be doing as a player. If he can rein that in, I think this was a really, really, really good pick for the Bengals. Like I said, I gave the pick an A. They're getting an A for day one. As for my final draft grade for the Cincinnati Bengals, you are looking at, what is this, 3 plus 3? So there's 6 picks altogether. I think with day 3, you have a lot of real potential upside, a lot of players that just got to work on their technique more so than anything else. And, you know, with like the offensive lineman of Cordell Volson, you're more so just concerned about whether he can make the leap of you know, talent-wise from going from FCS to the NFL. I think day 3 was really good. Day 2 and day 1, I think you brought in some legit guys to really help out the defense, especially with the 2 picks in the secondary in Cam Taylor-Britt and Daxton Hill. A couple of awesome selections there for them. And then Zachary Carter, I think, is someone who can really be even if he's not an impact starter day 1, at the least, I think he's going to be in the rotation fairly often, that he will get opportunities to make some big plays and be an impact piece in a smaller amount to start. And as he grows within the system, this is someone that I think Zachary Carter could be around for, 3, 4, 5, 6 years at least, something like that. A guy who maybe gets 1 contract, and then after that, depending on how much his value is increased from there, maybe sticks around long term, maybe has to go somewhere else because he's playing too well, But overall, I really like this entire draft class. I gave it an A-. I think the Bengals did a really good job this offseason with free agency and then doubling down in the NFL draft to be able to really reload and run it back to try to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl again. And I'm really impressed what they did with this year's NFL draft. So my Bengals fans, let me know again, what are you guys feeling about this NFL draft class for the Bengals? Do you like these players? Is there anyone in here that you're concerned about? Do you agree or disagree with some of the things that I had to say about them? Let me know. But I appreciate you guys for watching. I will see you in the next draft grade video. Have a good one.